So in this video, I'm going to go over how to have fun with somebody. Now, when you're making a joke or having fun with somebody, like if you're making fun of their large ears, you got to look for if they're mad, sad, crying. If you're making a joke and one person is crying at the joke, then you need to stop right away. You're causing harm. You're hurting somebody verbally. I've seen this myself in my own jokes. I've learned this as a teenager. Now I'm 31, I don't do that. I try to lighten the mood for everybody. If one person seems very angry or frowns severely or is crying or upset because of my joke, then we're not having fun with them. They got to have fun with the joke too. Now I'll give you an example of having fun with somebody. And I'll give you an example of how my father didn't learn this lesson. For 20 years, I had to put up with my father making fun of my large ears. Now, my ears pop out. They're a little on the medium side, but they pop outwards, so it makes them look bigger than they really are. My father thought it was a great idea to poke fun about this, and I let him, and I laughed about it, and I had fun with it, and I went along with it. But here is the problem with poking fun. You got to be able to take it as well. And if somebody doesn't seem to be enjoying the fun that you're having, like I did not enjoy my buck teeth. I couldn't eat proper. It looked really weird. My jaw was reset. Actually, it's going back that way. I might have buck teeth again, even though I have no teeth. I might have a overbite. My jaw is moving. But anyways, now, after 20 years of my father poking fun at the age of about 24 years old, I was in the kitchen and I said, Dad, one thing I don't understand is I'm okay laughing along with you about my big ears, but your ears are bigger than mine. If you take a tape measure and measure my ear and you measure your ear is a half an inch bit larger than mine. They're much bigger. So I never understood how a man with very, very large ears that was probably made fun of during childhood for his large ears could then make fun of another person for the ears so often. And I pointed this out to my father that he has humongous ears, yet he's making fun of my ears that are smaller than his and calling them big. As soon as I said that, my father goes, I don't want to talk anymore. I don't want to. Oh, no, stop. We got to stop this joking around right this moment. So he spends 15 minutes joking around about my large ears. I let him poke fun. I have fun with it. Then, when I say, let's poke some fun at your big ears, no, we can't have that. We can't have somebody talk about my father's big ears. No, we got to talk about the sun and make fun of the sun, because I'm used to it. I'm used to being called gimpy. I'm used to being called retard. I'm being used to missing out on education. I missed out on 4 years of school. I'm used to having to go along with whatever craziness my mother wants. I'm used to being given drugs. I'm used to being given an overdose and nobody am allowed to talk to about it. I'm used to being given extra Epicac as a punishment. I'm used to my mother lying to me and twisting things and trying to make me mental. I'm used to my mother playing with action figures, schizophrenia, and having to unwind what the hell she's doing. I'm used to getting letters in the mail that have my name on it. That's a check, and then my father telling me it's not for me, yet my name is on it, then yelling at me and screaming at me. I'm used to being made fun of by my own father for my big ears. I'm used to being made fun of at school for my buck teeth. I'm used to being made fun of at school because I have a wisp and I can't move my body properly. I'm used to all these things, and yet I'm not getting any medical treatment for the lack of movement. I can't move my body properly. I'm falling down sometimes. I've had seizures and when I was in New Mexico and on bikes. Things are going on I don't understand, but I'm not receiving any medical treatment even after I brought this up at the doctor's because my mother is lying to the doctors. So after all this, I go along with the fun. I'm very good at people poking fun at me. But I wanted to see what my father thought about it. Hey, you spent 20 years calling my ears big. Hey, let's talk about your ears just this one time. We've talked about my ears over 100 times. You've poked over 100 jokes at my big ears that just poke out. Well, your ears are bigger than mine, Dumbo. So let's hear some Dumbo jokes on your side. Well, let's say make some funny jokes about your ears. No, 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 he said. We can't have any jokes about me. We can't have any big ear jokes about me. Only about you, Zach. We get to make fun of you, Zach. We get to blame you, Zach. We get to put all our problems on the you, Zach. But no way that you get to make fun of my ears. No. This is a one-way street, and that's the way it's going to stay. And that's the way my father is. He still, to this day, has never tried to have a conversation on a two-way basis. It's always one way. If we make fun of my large ears, I can't talk about his large ears. If we talk about my drug addict and my drug use, we can't talk about how he gave me an overdose or the pills or the drugs that was given to me before I was even 10 years old. This is always a one-way street. If he blames me for not getting to a certain place, we don't get to talk about why I don't drive and why I can't get around. We just get to blame me for not being able to get around. We don't ever discuss why I can't get around, because that might require some responsibility or some blame falling on his shoulders as a parent. I never got the drive. I'm still 31 years old and can't drive because I still haven't received any medical care for a disability that was very apparent to everybody. I didn't know what to call it. I was only a teenager and a child. Now at the age of 31, I started to have the names, the words at 25. I started to know what type of things were wrong at the age of 19. I started to know something was severely wrong at the age of 7, and then ongoing more and more craziness. So I knew my mother was acting unstable, but I didn't have the words to describe a neurological disorder in the nervous system that has different types of symptoms. Like if I move my thumb, my leg jumps. If I try to speak, my leg will shake. Sometimes I have full body spasms on the ground that cause me to go unconscious, and then I wake up. I did not know that those were called seizures until a doctor told me they were called seizures in the emergency room when I had one on the side of the road in front of multiple witnesses. That's the only reason why I know what those are called. Before that, I was calling them falls on the ground, waking up cut up. That's all. I fell and I woke up cut up. I shook, I fell, I woke up cut up. I didn't have words to describe these medical symptoms during childhood because my mother and father lied to me, lied to doctors, and tried to hide this from the whole family. Yes, my mother's mental illness and what she was doing was hidden from the whole family. When my mother was giving me extra Ipecac as a punishment, and this was brought up in front of my family, yes, I got her to admit it in front of my sister, I was 16 years old. That means that about 10 years had passed before she did this. 10 years of me speaking up about this before my own sister, my father's daughter, got to find out about it. And remember, my sister is like 40 years older or 30 years older than me. Anyways, I just wanted to go into that because I found that to be important to understand. That when you're making jokes or making fun with somebody, you need to make sure that all parties are having fun. Not only that, you got to make sure you can take a joke back. If you're calling somebody's ears big and they're laughing with you and everybody's having a good laugh, you need to make sure that if he calls your nose big, that you don't get all defensive and angry. If you're going to call other people out, you need to be able to take it. But I suggest that nobody make fun of other people because you never know if it's going to hurt them or if it's going to be a fun joke. Some things people don't take very well, and you don't always know how they're going to react. So it's best not to point fun. And seeing as my father had already poked fun at my big ears over and over and over and over and over, I had to laugh with him. I had to laugh about it. I can't get mad at him because he's already poked fun so many times. But if he's going to poke fun at my large ears, and he has larger ears than mine, why can't he then take the fun? Why can't he then be called Dumbo? He has larger ears than me. He's calling me big-eared. He's calling me Dumbo. He said I can fly with them. How about him? He can fly with those for sure. How did he get out of his mother with those big ears is another good joke. Did you get stuck halfway? There's a bunch of good jokes there, but see, he can't take the jokes like I can. I can take those type of jokes. Oh, what did your ears get caught on the way out? That's jokes that your ears are too much forward. I can take those jokes as long as I get to make fun of you as well, and we all get to have a fun time. But my father didn't want a fun time. He doesn't want to take it. He wants to dish it out onto me to sit there and take it. He wants his boot on my throat. He wants, if I get an inheritance, he doesn't want me coming in and grabbing it. He doesn't want me applying for it. No, he wants his boot on my throat. He gets all the inheritance. He gets to control the whole situation, and he keeps his boot on my throat. Okay, how about my Social Security? I'm now 18. I'm in a housing type of program, and I need to be paying rent with my Social Security. Nope. My father puts his boot on my throat, decides he's going to pocket the Social Security, get me thrown out of my housing, get into trouble with the Department of Health and Human Services, the state Massachusetts representative, get me in trouble because I had no idea I was on Social Security, and then I have to choose between my father and my Social Security. Do I honor my father, or do I take the 12 grand I'm owed? The state says I'm owed $12,000 because my father stole my money. The state and my worker is telling me this. So what do I do about this? I honor my father. I get him off the hook, and I tell him as long as he acts like a father and makes sure that I have an income to pay my rent, that he collected this Social Security for all these years. He made me out to be disabled. He lied to doctors. He manipulated doctors. And he did all this for money. As long as he tries to make sure that that money was meant for my future, and that Social Security was meant to give me a living and give me an apartment and food, as long as it's used to make my needs possible, as long as it's used because I'm disabled, then it's okay. I'll get him off the hook. I'll clear out the 12 grand. I'll refuse to sign the paperwork, and I'll be on my father's side. So I take my father's side. He agrees to be a father and just get me an attorney. All he does is hire an attorney to keep my Social Security. He thinks that is his fatherly duties. But anyways, he hires an attorney, and that's all he does. He doesn't help me train for keeping my Social Security. He doesn't do anything like that. When I get thrown out of my housing, does he get me another housing? Does he get me an apartment? No. He has me come home and take care of my mother as she drinks herself to death. Then she dies right in front of me, right as I come home. And then he calls the lawyer and has the lawyer canceled. So now I'm dropped out of my Social Security. Still to this day, 11 years later, I have not collected a dime in Social Security. The only person to collect Social Security in my name was my father on false pretenses, which I was not aware of. I did not get to read through my medical records until much, much later. I had no idea what the consequences of my mother's and father's actions would be, because I am not my mother and father, and I was only a child when these things were going on. A 10-year-old does not know the consequences of his mother lying to a doctor. But now I know it's death. I can't collect Social Security, I can't work, I can't use a shelter, I can't drive, I can't live in a car, I can't live in a shelter, I can't work, I can't collect Social Security. Those are the consequences of your mother and father fucking you for life.